Please welcome Thomas Dohmke.
Good morning. It's so great to be here with all of you. Today is huge for us. This is our first GitHub Universe here at Fort Mason, but as it turns out, it's also our 10th GitHub Universe. Yeah. Year after year, thank you for giving us the honor. The past decade of GitHub Universe has been marked by a tidal wave of open source creation and consumption. It can no longer be denied that open source has won. Yes. Since 2015, you have acted fast to solve big problems, closing over 67 million GitHub issues. You have seen big ideas straight through the end, merging over 180 million pull requests. And all up since 2015, you have sparked over 320 million public projects on GitHub. That's millions of issues, millions of projects, millions of developers around the world working together. You know, it's not the NBA. It's not the European Champions League. It's not the Indian Premier League. Open source is the greatest team sport on earth. With every pull request, with every commit, together you have created a new constellation of software and have bent the arc of technology for the better. And it's the world developers together who have shot us off into this new space race of technology. The age of AI has not just begun, it has crossed the chasm. And the age of AI runs right through GitHub. This past year, we saw a generational boom in AI creation. In 2024 alone, there was a 98% year-over-year growth in new AI projects on GitHub. Look at this curve. And the consequences of this go much further. In part because Python is so heavily used across machine learning and AI development, Python has risen to become the #1 programming language on GitHub, surpassing JavaScript. Congrats, Pythonistas. This means the primary use case for GitHub itself is fundamentally expanding beneath our feet. This means open source creation has become a big tent for the many, that people across data science, academia, and research are increasingly using GitHub in their daily lives. And this means the programming language of AI is on the rise. And the platform that started us all as the home for social coding has now evolved into the world's largest creator network for the age of AI. It's your ingenuity infused together that is opening up new frontiers of creation. And it's not just the fact that you're building AI, because the world's developers on GitHub have gone a leap further. You're using AI to build AI. You've laid the blueprint for what it means to partner with intelligent machines. Developers have embraced AI faster than any sector of the global workforce. Just over 3 years ago, GitHub Copilot was launched into the world, and today, Copilot is still the most adopted AI developer tool on the planet. Thank you truly for the trust and support. You have made Copilot as revolutionary as GitHub itself, and now, thanks to all of you, Copilot is launching into its next phase. The first phase of AI code gen, the first phase of GitHub Copilot, was really built on 3 key pillars. And the first pillar of phase 1 was AI infused. There were AI integrations at different touch points in the developer lifecycle. But if you wanted to avoid AI and build it all yourself, you could. The next pillar of phase 1 was conversational coding. ChatGPT and Copilot Chat laid the groundwork for a Jarvis-like interaction with your code. You know, Jarvis like an Iron Man, making it possible for any person to build code in natural language. And finally, in phase 1, we built with multi-model functionality. one default model for one specific use case. For example, GPT 3.5 for auto-completion or GPT 4.0 for workspace. But today, this begins to shift. The partnership between developers and AI is going to the next level. The early days are now over, and the second phase of AI code generation has arrived. Phase 2 no longer will be AI infused. It will be AI native, where AI is core and cannot be separated from the entire developer experience. All up, we will see AI native developer workflows, and today we deliver just that. Next in phase 2, conversational coding will evolve into agentic coding. At GitHub, we define agents as AI assistants that execute tasks at your direction. In natural language, every developer will have a constellation of agents designed for specific tasks that you converse and build with. And today, we deliver just that. And finally, in phase 2, we will go from multi-model functionality to multi-model choice. There was a boom of high-quality models in 2024. And you know what? GitHub is still GitHub. We are an open developer platform, and developers expect the agency to build with the models that work best for them. So today, we deliver just that, and we deliver it right here, right now. So first off, we're tearing down that waitlist for OpenAI O1. All Copilot users now have public access to O1 Preview and O1 Mini. During our own exploration with O1 Preview, we found the model's reasoning capabilities allow for a deeper understanding of code constraints and edge cases, producing efficient and quality results. Now, if you want to use O1 in Copilot Chat, you can just click it and get started today. But there's more. There's been a model this year that has really caught fire with developers across the planet. What's his name again? Claude 3.5 Sonnet. So today, I'm excited to announce a new partnership with Anthropic, bringing the power of Claude to GitHub Copilot. Just as with the OpenAI O1 models, you can select Claude in the model picker starting today. But before you open Copilot now on your computer, we've got quite the surprise for you. Please join me in welcoming a world-renowned theoretical physicist and the man behind the model himself, Anthropic's co-founder and chief scientist, Jared Kaplan, on stage. So great to see you, Jared.
Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you for being here today. How did you go from theoretical physicist to AI scientist, Jared?
Well, I was always, as a child, fascinated by science and by questions like, what is the origin of the universe? But I was also really excited about AI. But as a student, it was long before GitHub, and a lot of the tools that make software development and AI research today very easy didn't exist back then. And I was very lazy, and so I stuck with physics. But I made a lot of interesting friends in San Francisco when I was a postdoc. And as AI was getting more and more exciting, those friends like Dario Amodei, who was leading research at the time at OpenAI, and Chris Olah, working on interpretability, were telling me amazing things. And so I figured, well, I'll take a break and try to see whether I can work in this new field. And I guess the rest is history.
That's amazing. And tell us now about the inception of Claude 3.5 Sonnet and why it has caught fires with so many developers.
Yeah, so I mean, we founded Anthropic because we expected that AI was going to make tremendous progress very quickly, and we wanted to try to steer it in a beneficial direction. Why is that relevant to Claude 3.5 Sonnet? Well, the question we ask ourselves all of the time is how do we get the most frontier model capabilities in as many people's hands as possible, as quickly as possible? Because if we can't get our new AI models deployed right immediately, then in 6 months or a year, when they start to get picked up, they'll already be obsolete. And so we thought, what is the best way to get models used by a lot of people very quickly? It's to tailor them as much as possible to developers, software engineers, and coders. And so we figured we would optimize Claude 3.5 Sonnet to be a great model to work with for software engineering.
Very cool. And what do you think the partnership between GitHub and Anthropic will mean for developers?
I mean, I think it's going to be amazing. I think that when physicists that I know, and they ask me this all the time, how can I get into AI? My mistake when I tried to get into AI was reading lots of academic papers. But really, you have to get your hands dirty. You have to sort of roll up your sleeves and try things. And I think that, so what I tell physicists is you need to learn tools like GitHub. That's the most important thing to really get started in AI. So I think I hope it will be amazing that people will have choice of models, and they'll be able to sort of get started programming and using all of the latest and best tools.
Cool. So one more question. What's next for Claude? Tell us a little bit about the roadmap.
Yeah, so I tend to think of the sort of improvements in AI capabilities along two axes. There's how complex are the tasks that AI models can do, and where can AI models meet you? In other words, what are the environments that AI models can work in? And so with new releases like the new Sonnet with computer use, I hope that models are both better at tasks like agentic coding, so they can do more complex workflows and work alongside you. And also, I hope in the very near future that people, via techniques like computer use, can actually collaborate not just say in a very restricted environment like a terminal or an IDE, but really Claude can come out and use all of the apps, help you with software testing, all of these different capabilities. So that's what I'm probably most excited about, is sort of Claude being able to work alongside you in many other contexts.
Amazing. We couldn't be more excited. Jared, thank you so much for spending some time with us this morning.
Thanks so much for having me. It's really been a pleasure.
So great to hear from Jared today on stage. We couldn't be more excited. But there is one more thing. You know, we mean it when we say multi-model choice. Today, lightning strikes twice. So we are thrilled to share a partnership with Google, bringing Gemini 1.5 Pro to GitHub Copilot. As you can see behind me in the demo, in GitHub's Copilot's new model pickers, developers will soon be able to build with Gemini 1.5 Pro. It's natively multimodal with the ability to process code, images, video, text, all simultaneously. It works great for code suggestions, writing documentation, or explaining code. And we will continue to bring multi-model choice to many of Copilot's surface areas in the coming weeks. And speaking of surface areas, let's talk about the Copilot experience in VS Code. Together with our friends at Microsoft, we have turned our in-editor experience on its head and created an even better Copilot. Let's show them what we got. Come on out, Cassidy.
Hello, everybody. Good morning. Thanks, Thomas. Hello, everyone. My name is Cassidy. I'm so excited to tell you about some of the new stuff that we have coming your way. As Thomas said, we're evolving GitHub Copilot for VS Code. So more in your editor means less context switching, which is very good for someone like me who has way too many browser tabs open, a very full email inbox, and also that new Rosé and Bruno Mars song, distracting me all the time. Anyway, today we have a ton of new things to show you that Copilot is not just an AI developer tool. It's an intelligent platform with multiple tools and services, a whole ecosystem of them at your disposal. So GitHub Universe, are you ready to see what we've got for you? Yeah? I'll show you how to do it right now, live. So this website right here is Copilot Airways, where every pilot is a co-pilot. So this is the website that we're going to be working on throughout the day today and building some cool things with it. So before I get into it, I'm going to head over to the code. Who here has used GitHub Copilot before? Wow, that is awesome, and you're making my job so much easier. For those who haven't used it before, that's OK. I'm going to show you an example of what it can do. So what I could do is I could type a function, get coolest developer in the world, and then try to autocomplete it and see what it returns. Cassidy? What? AI has never lied. Okay, so it does a very, very smart autocomplete, but you can also use GitHub Copilot Chat. So I could highlight this right here, and I don't even have to just ask in English. I could say, ¿puedes explicar esto in Spanish? And then it will explain what this code does in Spanish for me right here in the chat. So it says that I'm the coolest developer in the world, which is all you need to know. So that is a very high level of what Copilot does and has done. But there's new stuff we'd like to do today. So I'm going to reset that and go back to our website, and I'm going to go to the profile page. So in this profile page, you have our flight point history data, so the points that you get as you've earned it on various trips. And this table is cool, but I think it would look better in a graph. So I'm going to go back to our code right over here. I'm going to delete this function. Now, what I want to ask Copilot is say, is there anything else in the code base where we're drawing a line graph? Because that might be kind of useful. And so what's happening right now is called intent detection, where it figures out what I'm asking, and then it asks the workspace agent what I'm doing. And it also does repo indexing, where it uses our repo as a source of truth. And so as you can see, we have this thing called on-time line chart. And so it's a line chart that already exists in our code base, so we could use that. But I think an area graph would be better. And so if an area graph is what we want to use, that means I need to make a new component. I need to change this profile page. I need to add tests, maybe add a note in the README. That is a lot of changes. If only we could edit multiple files at once. If only we could edit multiple files at once. Well, now we can! Copilot for multi-file editing is now available. So, we have this new edit mode right here. And what's cool about this new edit mode is, first of all, I can go down here and change the model. So I'll choose Claude for this one. And then I can say, hey, can you create a new reusable area graph from our points activity service? And I want it to be displayed below that points activity table. And I want it to behave very similarly to the on-time line chart. And then, of course, don't forget to write tests. And then we hit go. And we see what it does. And I'm very excited about it. So it gives us our step-by-step saying we're going to create a chart component, we're going to add it to the profile page, and we're going to create tests for that new component. And it starts creating those files right away. And so as you can see here, we already have this monthly ports area chart graph, and it's based on what already exists in our code base. And it has the green diff there so you can see what's new, which is everything. Whenever I see a diff, I want to make a Git joke, but I know I need to branch out more, so I won't force it on you. Thank you. I'm here all week. Okay, and then we also have this tests file that was made, and it makes unit tests for every single component on here. And so I'm just going to save that there. That looks great, too. And it adds this monthly points area chart directly to our components. So I can just save all of that, accept it, and then if I go back to the profile page, blammo! Check it out! We've got the little hovering. Oh, it looks so good. Oh, I love that. And there's a little bit more under the hood I want to show you before we wrap up today. So if I go back to the monthly points area chart, something that you might have seen is that we have this little feature flag conditional right here. Launch Darkly is a feature flag service, and they're a partner with GitHub, and they have what is called a GitHub Copilot extension. GitHub Copilot Extensions was released this past May, and you can use it to extend GitHub Copilot to do all kinds of things. And in this particular case, I'm going to head back to our chat, and I'm going to flag Launch Darkly, create a flag based on our monthly points chart, and then it will run the extension. And so we've already got a little pop-up here saying we want to create the flag, we have a key for it, make it available on the server, and then I can toggle the flag right here in VS Code without ever having to leave. And it just works, and there's so many cool extensions out there. Now, you might be wondering, why was this added in the first place? And this is one of my favorite features that we've added. And so it is called GitHub Copilot Custom Instructions. It's a file that you add inside of your GitHub folder, and it's just a markdown file called Copilot Instructions. And you can just say what you want Copilot to do. And this has been one of our most requested features. So in this particular code base, we say whenever we make a reusable React component, make sure you add the launch darkly service. But you can put whatever you want in here. You could say, I want all of my functions to have certain doc strings. I want it to follow certain linting rules. I wanted to add a comment saying that Cassidy's the coolest developer in the world at the bottom of every component, so your demo looks awesome. You never know, but you can do whatever you want here, and that's all that's happening right under the hood to make this graph possible. All right, I think we're done with that. It's so cool, right? Thank you, thank you. That, y'all, is the latest and greatest from GitHub Copilot, but we're not just showing it to you. We're also delivering it. So, everything you just saw in the demo, all of these features, this is your brand new experience for VS Code, from multi-file editing, to model selection, to custom instructions, to GitHub search, to intent detection, to repo indexing, even things you didn't see like code referencing and code review. I hope you're still with me. All of this is going to be available to every single Copilot user, whether you're an individual, a business, or an enterprise this week. So fun. And that being said, for those of you who want goodies right away, GitHub Copilot Extensions are available right now. You have so many extensions to choose from Supabase to Atlassian to Sentry and more, and we're going to keep adding more to it at the extension marketplace so it's as expansive as our user base. And you can be a part of that because you can build your own extensions as well. But all of this choice goes beyond extensions. It even goes beyond VS Code. Ooh. We're coming to you, Apple developers. GitHub Copilot is available in Xcode today. Today in public preview, devs who build for the Apple ecosystem can now leverage the power of GitHub Copilot as they develop, test, and deploy. No matter where you work, whether you work on mobile, on desktop, remotely on github.com, or locally on your machine, we're working to make your life simpler and easier, leaving you the agency to make your own choices. Okay, that is all from me today. Thank you so much. There's more where that came from.
Please welcome Tim Rogers.
Thank you. Hello, GitHub Universe. I'm Tim Rogers, and I'm a product manager on GitHub Copilot. We already talked today about multi-model choice for GitHub Copilot. So naturally, what I think we should do is double down on that. Let's talk about even more, you guessed it, models. Code is no longer the only primitive necessary to build software. In this new creator network, developers are building on even higher layers of abstraction, with models large and small. To help us all stay up to speed, GitHub launched a new tool this summer called GitHub Models, an interactive playground for AI engineers to build applications right where their code is. With GitHub Models, you can go from model to playground to deployment in no time. We launched this summer with the latest and greatest in the industry. In our model marketplace, we're giving you some French je ne sais quoi with Mistral Large and Mistral Nemo. And it's not just big models. We're giving you some small language model love as well with Phi 3. Don't worry, little guy, you're just as cool as the grown-ups. And I love this one. We're giving you open intelligence with Meta's Llama suite, or should I say herd, of models. I swear, a year ago, I thought a llama was just a sassy camel. But now I use Llama to build AI applications on the regular. And we haven't stopped there. Today, we're thrilled to share that we've added even more amazing models to the platform, from Cohere Command to Bria AI to OpenAI 01, putting everything you need right here on GitHub, where your code already lives. As you can tell, I'm kind of a nerd. So I'm going to nerd out right now and show you the power of GitHub Models live. Let's pick back up on Copilot Airways. So here at Copilot Airways, we want to inspire our customers with places they can travel to on our network. So we've built a travel guide on our website that features some top destinations. And for each of those destinations, we show a description, some highlights, just to provide that kind of inspiration. Now, I write reviews of every place that I travel to, including here in San Francisco. And I want to plot those models on this map. So to do that, I'm going to have to go through my long, flowery reviews and pull out that key information, so the description, the highlights, and figure out the coordinates. Now, one option would be to do that manually. I could go through all my reviews, I could put all that data into a spreadsheet and then put it into my app, but that's going to take a long time, and it seems like something that an LLM would be pretty good at. So let's head over to GitHub Models so we can explore and compare some LLMs that we might be able to use for that task. So we head over to the GitHub Marketplace and then click Models, and we get a list with a bunch of models that are available on the platform. We have filters to be able to go through them, but that can still be a little overwhelming, and it might be hard to know where to start. But what if Copilot could guide you and advise you on what model to use for what you want to do? Well, that's actually now possible with the App Models extension in Copilot Chat. With that extension, I can ask Copilot for advice, and it's going to use all that data in the model marketplace to help me to figure out what to do. Now, I want some of that French je ne sais quoi that I already talked about, so I'm going to ask for advice on what Mistral model would be appropriate for taking my reviews and extracting JSON data for them. And you can see here that Copilot's come back with a bunch of recommendations. I'm going to go with the top one. I'm going to try Mistral Large and see how that goes. So let me pop down the chat. Then I'm going to filter for the right provider. And then I'm going to find Mistral Large. Once I actually click on the model, I get a bunch of useful information here about it in the README. I can see the training day, I can see the license, all that kind of stuff. But things get a bit more exciting when I head into the playground. In the playground, I can actually try out this model with my own prompts and my own parameters and see what it can do for me. Doubling down on that, though, things get even better when I use the compare feature. With the compare feature, I can easily run two models in parallel for the same task, and then I can see what one performs better for me. So it's really easy to compare and figure out what's right. So on the right-hand side that I've opened up, I'm going to pick Mistral Nemo, and that's just a smaller, faster model from the same provider. So my models are ready. Let me now get them set up with my prompts. To do that, I'm going to click on the Show Parameters Setting button. Then I'm going to add in my system prompt. All that system prompt does is basically explains to the model what I want it to do. So I'm just saying, go through my review and extract a certain set of JSON fields. That automatically gets applied to both sides, so it's really easy to compare the two models. Then I'm going to add my prompt, which is my review of San Francisco that I've written, which is, of course, very long and flowery. And now the magic happens. I hit Enter, and we're going to run through both of those models in parallel, and we can see what the results look like and compare them really, really easily. You might have noticed that the model on the right was significantly faster, and it actually looks like the results that we've got from both are pretty comparable. And given that the model on the right, Mistral Nemo, is the smaller, faster model, and a bit cheaper as well, I'd probably choose to use that one, given that it seems to be appropriate for my task. So let's copy the JSON that the model generated from my review. Then I'm going to head over to VS Code and add it into my data for the map. And then we can head back to Copilot Airways. And there we go. We have San Francisco plotted on the map. Perfect. Easy. So what we've proven so far is that Mistral Nemo can do what we want it to do. It can go through my review, and it can figure out the JSON data to put it onto the map. Now, what if I actually wanted to implement that in my application and build an integration to go through all of my reviews and extract that data? Well, that's easy with GitHub Models as well. I can flip into the Code tab, and then I can easily pick my language of choice and get a copy and paste code sample that's going to make it really easy to interact with that model and start using it for real. You might notice here as well that I'm actually just using my GitHub token for authentication. So I don't have to sign up for any new services or jump through any hoops. I can just get started super, super quickly, which is a really powerful thing. Then, when I'm ready to go to production, I can just hit the Get API key button, and then I can easily get a key for Azure AI, which will have higher rate limits and something that I can scale for real. One more thing that I want to show you before we finish. On GitHub Models, as well as the models we've been looking at here, we also have what are called multimodal models. That's a lot of M's, but what multimodal means is models that can accept images as well as text. So let's try that and see how it goes. So I'm going to use the tags filter to find multimodal models. Then I'm going to pick OpenAI's GPT-4o Mini, which is one of those models. Then I'm going to click into the playground. Now let's give it an image. I'm going to give an image of the Golden Gate Bridge that I took over this weekend. And then I'm going to ask the model a really simple question. Describe what you see in this image. One word, no yapping. And there we go. The answer from artificial intelligence, bridge. Perfect. That's where we are, ladies and gentlemen. Artificial intelligence can do all of this. As you can see, we're extending the GitHub multiverse. And I'm so excited to share today that GitHub Models, including the App Models extension, is available today to all GitHub users. With GitHub Models now available to all, you'll be able to access the playground, side-by-side comparison, and so much more with GitHub Models by your side. Now, more than 100 million developers in every country who started out building software just like me can become AI engineers. Sassy Camel, out.
I'm Nikhil. I'm a high school senior, and I'm interested in aerospace engineering. Our team is called Orange Dynamite, and we're competing at our robotics competition. It's the culmination of 7 months of work. I'm the lead programmer for our team. I haven't seen an AI offering that's on the caliber of Copilot Workspace, where you just have something that you want to do, and it being able to understand what that means in the context of programming and in the context of a real-world solution. GitHub Copilot Workspace is where GitHub Copilot is going to be in the future. You can give Copilot a task, and it goes through, does its implementation, and along its journey, you can guide it and help it understand where you feel it needs to make changes to it. Things that conventionally used to take much longer now can be understood in a matter of minutes. That was the light bulb moment for me. I realized this is a game changer. It's so deeply integrated into my workflow. It's hard to imagine, not having it. The future is now, and it keeps surprising me.
Please welcome Irini Kaliamvaku.
Hello, GitHub Universe. I am here on behalf of the GitHub Next team. We are the in-house research team building for the future of software development. 6 months ago, on April 29th, we launched a technical preview of Copilot Workspace. And like any good researcher, I'm here to report on how the experiment is going. But first things first, Workspace is an AI-native development environment where you build with agents and the power of AI at every step from idea to execution. It all starts with an issue, and along the way, you have 3 agents helping you. A spec agent that reads your code base and figures out how to get to the desired end state. A plan agent that builds out a plan of what files need to change and how, and an implementation agent that generates the necessary code. Spec, plan, implementation, all under your direction. Since the launch, the developers on the technical preview have been putting all this to the test. Already, our early users have created more than 15,000 pull requests using Workspace. And over 10,000 of those pull requests have merged. Done. More importantly, though, we have engaged with thousands of developers using Workspace, like Nikhil, who you saw in the video. And we want to thank you, because your feedback is a gift, and everyone has been very generous. Whether you give praise or not, we learn either way. Much of the feedback has been positive. Just a month into the technical preview, someone was sharing how Copilot Workspace helped them bootstrap an app really easily. And now, for early users, Copilot Workspace has become their favorite way to get started, shrinking timelines from days to hours to sometimes minutes. Other times, the feedback comes in constructive, like when someone points out it's not easy to validate code inside Workspace and they have to do it manually. And you get the idea. This shows us something that we need to address. We have mountains of feedback. And for us, that's crucial. We're a small team of 5, but when we can leverage your feedback, a team of 5 can make a ton of progress. In fact, since the start of the technical preview, we have made over 100 changes to Copilot Workspace. Yeah, right? There are redesigns and new features in there, but there's also paper cuts and quality of life improvements. And we keep adding to this list, but already, thanks to your input, Workspace has evolved into its next iteration. It's now 100 times better than it was in April. We've added 2 new agents at the 2 ends of the workflow, one for ideation, called Brainstorm, and one for building and repairing code. So if you were keeping score, that's now 5 agents across the Copilot Workspace experience. We've also released a VS Code extension, and we're expanding Workspace to pull requests. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. The point is, with all these evolutions, AI begins to act as a second brain, a truly helpful partner alongside developers. The next iteration of Copilot Workspace is here. Do you want to see it? Nice. Come on out, Karan.
Thank you, Rini. So let's continue building on Copilot Airways. So as you can see, Copilot Airways has a travel guide. Right now, it's just a map and a description of the recommended cities. And that's because on the admin page, that's all we get. I think this would look a lot better if we had images of all of these beautiful places, right? So let's add a feature that lets us add an image to each of these posts. So one of my team members has already described our needs here on a GitHub issue. Usually, I'd create a new branch and start thinking about how to implement it myself, right? But with Copilot Workspace, I can open it right here from a GitHub issue. So you can see that Copilot Workspace got to work right away and gave me a specification of how to implement this issue. With the new Brainstorm feature, we can use Copilot Workspace much more iteratively. Based on the context, Brainstorm has already shared a few suggested questions for me to get started with some ideas. Or I can even ask my own. So let's brainstorm here and ask what options we have for image uploads. And you can see that just like that, Brainstorm has shared a few suggested ideas for me. It says use a file input element, a third-party library, or a cloud storage service. So let's keep it simple for our feature, and let's use a file input element. I'm going to click on Add to Task, and you can see that Copilot Workspace has picked up the ideas from a brainstorming session for its context. So now, it's not just a GitHub issue, but Copilot Workspace derives context from multiple sources. So this looks good. I'm going to click on Generate Plan, and Copilot Workspace will give me a list of what changes to make in which files. I can edit it if I need to, but right now, I think I'm good to go. So I'm going to ask Copilot to implement this plan, and it's going to go back and make the changes in necessary files across multiple files. So you can see that it's made some edits, and there is my input field over here. All right, so we have an input field, but I think it would look a lot better if we could also see a preview of the image that we are uploading, right? So with Copilot Workspace, we can keep iterating on the plan and the implementation by asking for a revision. So let's ask Copilot for a revision. Now, I can talk to Copilot in natural language. That means I can even use an Indic language, like, say, Hindi, to talk to Copilot. So I'm going to ask it, in my style of Hindi, an equivalent of show me a preview of the image after I've uploaded one. And there it is. Copilot understood what I meant, because it went back and updated the plan right there, and also made the changes for me, hopefully right over there, which is the image preview that we needed. All right, I think we're not done yet, because, well, like a developer who loves testing, let's run some tests first, all right? So we made some great enhancements to the commands that you can perform in Copilot Workspace. Build, test, and run are pretty common scenarios, and you can see that I have the commands for that configured right over here. So I can run my tests right here within Copilot Workspace, which will run my tests for me. And oh no, well, I think I'm not as good as a tester, I thought. But no worries, because Copilot Workspace can help me fix this as well. So with the new build and repair agent, Copilot Workspace will help me come up with a solution. All right, we added a new input field right now, but we didn't actually include it in our test, which is why it's failing. So I can apply this right over here within Copilot Workspace, which will make that change for me, as you can see over here. So then I can go back and rerun my test to see if that fixed the error. And ta-da! There it is. Testing looks so easy, right? All right. I think now our feature is probably ready, what we intended to do. So let's take a preview of what we've built right now. So I can run my command right over here. And if I haven't configured it already, no worries, Copilot to the rescue, which will suggest a command for me, which, again, I can run right over here within Copilot Workspace. So you can see it started that dev server for me, which I can open it. And there is my Copilot Airways on the admin page. And nice, there's the input field. So that looks good. Let's choose a file to see if the preview works. And I'm going to choose an image of a bridge. All right, and there it is. Nice. So that was the feature that we intended to build, right? So in the past few minutes, we went from an idea described on an issue, and then we brainstormed with Copilot Workspace. We implemented code and fixed errors, all while working in natural language. And this is the developer environment of the future, a workflow that moves as fast as your creativity. There's one more thing that I didn't show you. Copilot Workspace is also expanding to pull requests. So with this new feature, you can address feedback from your team and AI agents, making Copilot Workspace truly a part of your team. So from the VS Code extension to brainstorm, build and repair, and the pull request, that, my friends, is the next iteration of Copilot Workspace. Thank you. Back to Thomas.
Wasn't this amazing? Please give another round of applause for Cassidy, Tim, Irene, and Karan. Yeah! All these demos were live, deployed to production on GitHub.com. And as you can see, we've made a lot of progress on Copilot Workspace, and we look forward to getting it into the hands of more developers here at Universe and over the coming weeks, because we know this product has the potential to be the single most revolutionary thing that we have built for professional developers since the inception of GitHub Copilot. Copilot Workspace is a developer tool at heart. It's designed with the developer at the center. What if we took it a step further, though? What about all the people out there who want to build software but cannot write code? Like my comm staffers down here, my parents watching at home, my friends who are not in tech, who still think coding looks like hieroglyphics. Well, today I got one more advancement to show you. An advancement that fundamentally blurs the line between a developer and the everyday person. Introducing GitHub Spark. GitHub Spark is an AI-native tool to build applications entirely in natural language. Now, any person, no matter their experience, can create and share an application in a matter of minutes. Why don't we do another live demo? So here on the screen, you can see GitHub Spark. And the first thing you notice It's not an IDE in the classic sense. I don't have to install Python first or figure out how sudo works with Homebrew. I see an input field of what I want to create. I, of course, have our new model picker here with different models. And I have all my recent Sparks. And you can kind of get an idea what you can do with Spark by just reading through the list, a podcast timer app, a karaoke night planner, vehicle world game. And speaking of games, I always love to build little games when I have time to play with large language models. So let's do a tic-tac-toe game with the hippo and a rubber duck, or a duck. Maybe it's just a duck. We'll see what the model does. And so here's my prompt: create a tic-tac-toe game with ducks and hippos. And I click go. And now what happens is that the model behind the scenes does all the work for me. Now, you have seen demos where you can do that in chat, and then you have to figure out which code goes into which file. You have to copy and paste stuff. You have to try to figure out how to run the thing on the terminal. Here, it just does it all for us. It's streaming in digital, as you can see on the screen. And at the bottom, you already see the console here where you can refine my prompt later. So here's my tic-tac-toe game. And of course, I want Moo Dang to win, right? The hippo needs to win, so here's the duck. Let's see if I can here's my Moo Dang. Let's say the duck is playing it cool. And yes, win. Cool, and let me show you real quick at the bottom here, so I can obviously add another prompt here to refine my Spark. I can theme it, so I want light theme because it's bright out here in San Francisco. I can change the scale of my game. Let's see, a little bit bigger is cool. I can change the accent color. I can make all kinds of changes really quickly to the UI. I can click into my settings and add custom instructions similar to what Cassidy did earlier in VS Code. And I can store data in a key value store that is backed by Azure Cosmos DB. Now, before I keep iterating here and run down the clock, my team has prepared an app behind the scenes that scans the conference badges. So this is all created in natural language. You can actually see here on the side, you see every single step along the way. You see all the prompts that they have tapped, so a lot of prompts to get to this point for the demo. And you can obviously also click on those and scroll back in history. But the cool thing, it actually works. So I can open the camera here. Let's see, here I am. And here's my conference badge, same as you all got. Oops, it went away. Where's my camera? And then I scan my badge. And there's my photo, my name, my handle, and so on. And I can, hide this here. And run on the show floor with this app on my mobile phone, right? This is one of the examples of a personal application that I can use. Oh, I wanted to show you, if I click here on data, of course, here's all the stored data, from my previous scans. And so this is the power of GitHub Spark in a very short demo. We can't be more excited. We couldn't be more excited to get it into your hands very soon. And what I really wanted to show you with this demo is the floodgates of nerditude have swung wide open. A new wave of personal applications are on the horizon. And you know what, folks? This means something. Because for far too long, whether it was because English, the primary language of coding, wasn't your first language, but that's because you didn't have the educational access to learn how to code. Or whether it's simply because the craft of coding seemed so high of a climb, you just didn't believe you could take that first step. For far too long, there has been a high, solid, concrete barrier that separated a vast majority of the world's citizens from creating software. This has long limited the opportunity in the technology economy itself, making our industry a walled garden. With GitHub Spark, we will put 1 billion cracks in that concrete barrier. And one day soon, with a little help from all of you, we will finally break that barrier and rip it right through the ground. It is now possible more than ever that we realize a world where not just 100 million, but 1 billion people on GitHub can build software together. Yes. This new creator network for the age of AI is a creator network for all. That's our guiding aspiration, and we fully intend on making it real. Thank you for tuning in and for being here. We have a lot more content and a lot of announcements both today and tomorrow, so please enjoy the 10th annual GitHub Universe. See you all soon.